Welcome to the Indie Music Plus podcast, everybody. My name is JoJo Keys. Tonight we are live on Blab for the second time in a row, and it went really well the last time, so we're going to keep doing it. And I'm here with Mr. David Werba this evening, my new and ongoing co-host. I believe we talked.
Joe, let me tell you something, man. I am full of it tonight. I have like Ron Burgundy energy going on right now. So, yeah,
I'll feed off of that then.
Good.
It's great. Love it, because that's how we gotta be. So I guess let's get right off into it. So you listen to the Christopher Bell stuff, correct?
I did.
You have a preference on which tune we would listen to? Because I wasn't really sure which one to pick.
I have no preference, man. Just push a button, see what happens.
So this is going to be, let's see, the first track tonight's Christopher Bell, Lost in the Rush on the Indie Music Plus podcast, episode 7.
Grind my teeth down to the nub, counted sheep till they gave up. Greener pastures and a softer bed. My heart's a drumline in my head, and I can't breathe. I can't see. Or sometimes I think too much. My heart's racing. I lost my touch. Tripping over, tripping over, tripping over, tripping over me. I get lost in the rush.
That was Christopher Bell. What do you think, man? I love that stuff. That's good stuff.
That was, yeah, I like this song better than the other one. So we'll, I guess, when the other one. I have like more feedback on the other song than this one. This one was a nice groove. I like the band. It's got kind of like it has like definitely like an obvious blues influence to it. What are your thoughts on it?
I like the southern vibe that they had, the harmonicas, and it sounded like southern rock, southern rock alternative or whatever.
Yeah, this tune was a lot tighter. It had a good vibe to it, and the instrumentation seemed to kind of vibe a little bit better than the one that's coming up. Are you going to play his other song right after?
Yeah, I can, sure, no problem. Would love to. I'll just jump right into it. How's that?
Yeah, bust right in, then we could do just kind of like a combo view.
So the first one was Lost in the Rush, and then now this one's going to be Smokestack Lightning.
Smokestack lightning shining down just like gold. Why don't you hear me crying? Ooh. Whoa, tell me, baby, what's the matter with you? Why don't you hear me crying?
This song sounds like it's from the South.
It does. There's an obvious influence there. What's really jumps out to me, like what's cool with this is the harmonica, the distortion in his voice, and the guitars. They kind of like overlap sometimes, where you're not even sure which one's playing because it has a similar like distorted sound to it. And I love that. I love how they overlap. The most recent song you just played, to me, it sounded like it was the timing was like struggling a little in this one. It was really weird. Like the drum and the bass weren't matching up as much as the other song, which it was. I'm like, was kind of struggling, like waiting for it to kind of come together, but it's so cool. I really like how the different instruments are layered together and just the overall vibe that he's creating with it.
Yeah, right. No, yeah. I liked it a lot. Gonna look more into him for sure. As I like, Southern rock kind of stuff, all over, even like all the way to like, Leonard Skinner and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a band that I really, really like that I saw when I was a kid called Brother Kane.
Hmm.
Do you know them?
I can't recall the sound of it. It sounds familiar though.
Very Southern rock, and the thing that ties the two in is the way that he sings over the harmonica with the melody, like you're saying, how it kind of like has the same distortion feel, and it almost sounds like this song that is by that band. They're a little more on the hard rock side, but they do the same type of thing.
Yeah, you look at like Black Crowes. It's people call them Southern rock, but it's a lot more, of the rock part of that.
Exactly.
Like these guys are, I would say, definitely more leaning towards the blues influence. But yeah, King Wilson, Sticky, Scotty.
Sticky is the name of their song, but I can't remember their name right off the top of my head.
That's the name of the band too, isn't it?
No, it's something Crush.
Okay.
I know where it is. Just give me a second here. It's called Rainy Day Crush.
Cool.
So, well, why don't we go ahead and pop into them then real quick?
Perfect.
Since we're talking about them. Here is Rainy Day Crush with the song Sticky.
Around me, trying to put it on a page. How you touch me, tease me, touch me, told me I could sleep the naked in. I did inside my head what I have always done before. Touched it in the dark, just kissed you, hit it for the door. But I wasn't moving fast enough, I didn't want to leave. Wasn't moving fast enough, so now to me it clings. Sticky like you kissed me when I scored a through your curfew. Sticky like you want it, but you're telling me that it's too soon. Sticky little jelly donut, 7 a.m. I slept, but just an hour, I don't know when I sleep.
Day Crush on the Indie Music Plus podcast, episode 7, here with Mr. David Werba, founder of Music Forte, and music producer.
Yes.
And McDonald's worker?
No.
Okay. Just checking. So you said you really liked them. What did you think, man?
I was going to Tori Amos with that one, man. Like that, I was getting that Tori Amos vibe, the Tori Amos voice, and the Tori Amos dynamic. I really like the dynamic they have in their music. Really, really like that one, man. What do you think? What are your thoughts on them?
I was thinking swing.
Yeah.
Sort of swing sound. And interesting you mentioned Tori Amos, but yeah. Neo swing took me back to the day. Definitely. I don't know. But I'm going to be reviewing them. I actually have some of their links that I'll put in the chat here.
Were there any female artists that kind of popped out as a reference? I was starting to think like maybe Fiona Apple, but
that's a decent one.
Yeah.
She's a little bit more fringy, I think, or grungy.
Yeah,
I guess you could call it. Yeah. I really like that kind of stuff. What about like Sarah Bareilles?
Yeah, a little. Yeah, I was like Tori Amos was popping out to me just because just pardon.
I think it's a little happy for Tori Amos.
Yeah, yeah. Some of Tori's stuff is like really dramatic, and some of it's a little dark, like some of the subject matter. But it's cool. I mean, she has an enormous fan base, so.
I've seen her quite a few times. So many times, actually, that I kind of got bored of her.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, my wife's a huge fan. So,
Rainy Day Crush, cool. Oh, there we go. So there's the
yeah, because I'm doing a review on them. It'll be on the Indie Music Plus site in the near future. probably in the next day or two. By the time this podcast goes to air, it'll be back. It'll be on. So let's see here. What do we have next? More tunes.
I got a Ron Burgundy vibe.
No,
So
well,
it might not all make sense, some of the stuff you asked me, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the things I ask you won't make sense.
Sure.
The answer. Then. So let's see. Let's go a little hip hop. We're gonna go to a review that I did a couple weeks ago. I meant to put him on the last podcast. This is Mr. Colby Bright. He has a really good attitude and works really, really hard at what he does. So I wanted to make sure he got a little time. Mr. Colby Bright on the Indie Music Plus podcast, episode 7.
936. It's your boy Colby Bright. Hey, this is history. I left behind that misery. All I know is that struggle, but look what that done did to me. It's history. Been a champ since I was born. I just had to go and weather the storm, man. Hey, this is history. I left behind that misery. All I know is that struggle, but look what that done did to me. It's history. Been a champ since I was born. I just had to go and weather the storm, man. This is history. I left behind that misery. All I know is that struggle, but look what that done did to me. It's history. Been a champ since I was born. I just had to go and weather the storm, man. This is history. Days to the bright lights. Them dreams become alive. Lost days to get my mind right. The only thing that's mine, long days to get the timing right. And we just call that grind till the time was right and the grind was right. And then we just call that shine. Life is like a kaleidoscope. Different colors, all different ways. Hope it's worth all of these rhymes I wrote. Different words on
Nice.
pages and I made it out.
That
Like I
was
said,
cool, man. I like that one. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to listen to that one before the show, but that was cool. You know what I'm looking forward to is this new feature that Blab is coming with, where this extra box where it can be its own separate audio channel, and we could even like play a video of an artist. So what do you think of that, man?
I like this guy. He's really nice. On top of working really hard and doing what he does. The one thing that bugs me, just throw it out there, is, and he was cool with it when I reviewed him, was the S's on his vocals.
Okay.
And overall, just on the thing. But overall, I like the music and everything that he does a lot. So once you get over that.
Like, was it like too harsh? Like
Yeah. And he was, he said that, he like did it, mixed it in a hurry. So I understand all that. And, we all don't have like the best equipment and stuff to work on. So you got to make do with what you got. So.
Yeah, dude, that's interesting you bring that up. I actually wanted to talk about that tonight. Yeah, like, man, like running Music Forte, listen to all these artists come through, and just having like a producer brain when I listen to music, like I can see where it can go with just some extra production, and I'm still able to enjoy it because like whatever's missing in the mix, like maybe you didn't add enough compression or it wasn't mastered, which a lot of artists, they just don't master it, they just skip that step. I can see where it goes. Like I still see value, I still enjoy it, I can still get the vibe of the song. But that is the difference a lot of time when just the average Joe keep listening to a song. They're like, oh yeah, it's not that good or something, and they judge it based on the production quality alone. Yeah, that's just like it's an interesting discussion with people because I don't know, I'm able to still get it, but some people, they kind of give up on it too early just because of that production. And yeah, that's the main difference between like indie and mainstream, is that yeah, these mainstream artists, they're spending sometimes $1 million just on mixing the record and signed to a label, and they get that money. And yeah, you hear the difference, but I mean,
just learn about it and just do it, and if you look stupid for a little while, well, you're just learning, you'll get better.
Yep.
People, it's just like when you're performing. I've realized when you're performing in a band or performing at a recital, the people that are there, listening, like people are in the room right now or whatever, they want you to be doing a good job, because they're rooting for you. It's one of those things. So I'm rooting for all the indie music. I consider it like I call it the new grassroots, just making all those little connections all over the place, before you know it, a million people. You just haven't met any of them in person.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to move on to The Beautiful Game. This is one that I really liked a lot. This is a tune called King William. William. I always want to call him King William, but
man, you know what, dude? This song, it brought me back to the 80s. And, I was thinking modern English. I'm like modern, so and also REM, little REM, but like modern English, obviously, British vocals. It's like I almost wanted to hear British vocals in that song, like to just totally take me back to that time, like early 80s. But man, it was cool. I love that era, and that kind of like, I don't know, that rock era, that pop rock, British rock. I mean, what do you think, man?
Oh, I was definitely feeling the REM thing. That was mostly what I was feeling on it, particularly because of the vocals, but also because of the way the music lays under the vocals, Total. Well, I was from a few years younger than you, so I was more like early 90s.
Right.
Still, REM, that feel, all those alternative bands, like even live.
Yeah,
like
sure.
In that vein back then, yeah, I really like this band. A couple of these bands I'm thinking about actually contacting to see if they want to feature. So that's what's cool about the podcast submissions. Anybody rolls through, the good and the bad.
Even like The Cure, although The Cure is like usually a lot slower beat with their music. But yeah, it was just taking me back there, man. I mean, when all the artists submit their stuff to you, do they give the year that these songs were written?
No, not necessarily. I am going to ask for a lot more information, though. I'm going to set that up.
Yeah, I'm curious when that song was written, if it was an old one, or because I have my own stuff that I just sat in on a friend of mine's radio show, and he actually played my song, which is like 10 years old, and he was kind of giving some thoughts on it as if it was fresh. And yeah, I don't know. I love that. I love timeless music. I love where it's, even though it brings you back to a time, it's still enjoyable today. And that's totally what this song, it has that quality. It's
good quality overall too.
Yeah.
You can tell that they know what they're doing. So that's always good. All right, so we're getting close to the end for the recorded version of the podcast tonight. We'll probably hang out a little bit, have a little after party, have a little champagne. Maybe a Coors Light or something. Let's see here. I haven't missed anybody. We only actually have one more track left that we're going to look at. So indiemusicplus.com, we review, promote, sometime in the near future digitally manage indie musicians, bands, and all that stuff. So if you're in a band or an indie musician, you can go to indiemusicplus.com. check out all the services that we have under the Musician Services tab. And also, you can submit your music to be on the podcast for free by clicking the podcast submissions button, or on the other side of that, there's a featured artist button that you can click to submit to be a featured artist for 1 week on the indiemusicplus.com site. I just had to put the .com in there.
Sure.
So let's see. Last one of the night. This is a band called Static. This and their song Won't Beg. All right, so I let that one play a little longer than the other ones because I love that one.
Man, that goes way back, like 50s bop, like 50s R&B, soul, Smokey Robinson. I mean, I love that when it reminds me of this band, not the music, but this band Hal, H-A-L, from that I reviewed at Music Forte, and they just released an album and they sounded like the Beach Boys. Like that was their sound. You know, they just like jumped back 30 years and they made it awesome. And I love when bands do that. They just go so far back and they make it fresh. It's so cool. I loved hearing that one, man.
Stand By Me, yeah, Rob, that's a good one. Another one that really reminded me of, I don't know if you listened to John Lennon's son.
Sure. Of course, yeah.
His very first album. Some of the tracks on that kind of reminded me of this. That's the closest thing that I could relate it to in my brain from what I've heard, because of he's like his father. He worked with his wife, or I guess his girlfriend. I don't know if it's, and she does all the high octave singing, you know, and real melodic and stuff on top of a vintage feel. This song that we listened to just sort of sounded a little bit more polished, you know, to me, like it was current,
right?
You know. No.
And that's the effect you can get, like, again, like I said, with Hal and these bands that kind of bring back that old sound. It's almost like a remastered version that you wanted to have when you hear the old scratchy recordings. So you can still get that vibe from like 30, 40 years ago, but it's like really well produced. I love that.
It's awesome. Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite ones. Another thing that sort of reminded me of, and just the vibe. Did you ever listen to Chick Corea?
Sure. Yep.
Light as a Feather.
Yeah. That
album. It's got that vibe to it for some reason for me. I don't know. All right, so we pretty much listened to everything that we're going to listen to tonight. You have anything else you want to talk about, man?
No, man.
All right. So this is it for the Indie Music Plus podcast, episode 7. I'm here with David Werba, my co-host, and you can be checking us out here on Blab.im, and after the show, SoundCloud.com, iTunes, and YouTube as well. So everybody have a great holiday season. We will talk to you next time.